Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker has stirred up debate with his new budget plan. One specific part of the plan proposes to eliminate the state's movie tax credit and double the income tax for the working poor. DoubleACS was able to speak with advocates on both sides of the issue.
The governor's proposal is basically going to eliminate the film industry tax credit. And the savings by eliminating the film industry tax credit would hopefully go to doubling the earned income tax credit. The earned income tax credit right now, is around $900 or $1,000, and by doubling it, we could bring it up to about $1,900. I don't think that the poor who are needing this earned income tax credit should be kind of on the receiving end of the folks in Hollywood having these extravagant and lavish salaries. So we are actually basically subsidizing people from out of state by giving this film tax credit.
When I got started back here, I was working as a sound utility, and I worked on TED. I worked on Grown Ups 2, RIPD. I worked on a couple TV pilots, Gilded Lilies and Hatfields and McCoys. Unfortunately, neither of them got picked up. And now I've worked my way up to be a mixer, so I mix smaller films. I just mixed a film called Good Kids, which shot around the Duxbury area. Last year I mixed a movie called Tumbledown, which shot out at Devon's in the new New England studios and around that area. And I do a good amount of TV commercials. Recently did a McDonald's commercial, just got done with a Tide commercial. Film's a business, and like any business, it follows the money. So if the tax incentive were to go away, you would see a huge evaporation of all the work. I mean, I don't know if I would get 10% of the work that I get now if the film tax credit went away, because there's a lot of states that compete, with tax credits, and film is a very mobile industry, so they'll get up and run away if they see that the tax credit's going to dry up. As a matter of fact, even when they talk about changing the tax credit, people who are scheduled to come here get nervous and go somewhere else.
We don't really know how much it'll affect these jobs we're talking about, these up to 3,000 jobs. And the reason for that is because there were films being films and commercials being shot before 2006 when the film industry tax credit started. So the number of jobs is up for debate if that's going to affect any at all, because there were films being made in Massachusetts before this happened, and there's going to continue to be films made in Massachusetts after this happens. So whether or not that's going to just eviscerate 3,000 jobs, I think that's very doubtful. I don't see that happening, because there's certain films that were created in Massachusetts that could probably only be created in Massachusetts.
What happened in North Carolina, they had a very good tax program, film tax program. And they pulled the plug on it very abruptly. North Carolina had a lot of long-running TV series that just up and left and went, they're right near other states that have tax incentives, and they packed up and went somewhere else, the TV series that were there. It's a tough issue because Governor Baker wants to double the earned income tax credit, and use the money that he supposedly saves by canceling the film tax credit to double the earned income tax credit. Obviously, I support, an earned income tax credit. Working families need help, but what you're doing here is pitting working families against working families. I mean, we're blue-collar workers. The majority of us who actually benefit from the tax credit are blue-collar, middle-class workers who have a job because of this tax credit, and if you take the tax credit away, many of us are going to lose our jobs, and then we're going to be those families that you need to help with an earned income tax credit anyway.
We're taking an industry, a multi-billion-dollar industry, and saying, come to Massachusetts and we're going to continue to help you make even more money, but we're doing it at an expense to people who are making, barely making ends meet. We need that earned income tax credit to double. So these films can still be made here in Massachusetts. I doubt very much that the only thing Massachusetts has to offer is a tax credit. I mean, the films are being made before the tax credit ever started. Films will continue to be made here after the tax credit stops, if it stops. So the argument, though, that we need to do this, to keep the tax credit, to keep films here. Again, films are made here beforehand. Maybe we'll see a dip in the number of films produced. Maybe we won't. I mean, it seems to make sense that we would. The problem is that we didn't keep very good baseline metrics of how many films were being produced, beforehand and afterwards. I mean, we know how many were produced, but attributing those films that have been produced in Massachusetts since 2006 to the tax credit has been really difficult, because we didn't actually determine what the baseline was, and without a tax credit.
The film tax credit, stimulates the local economy because the people who work on films have to buy materials and supplies. They buy them almost all locally. Now, people will say a lot of that money goes out of state. I don't think that that's true, because I've seen construction people buying, wood from local lumber yards. Myself, I'm a sound mixer. I buy my equipment. I mean, I own almost $100,000 worth of equipment. I buy all my equipment locally. And camera people as well. There are rental houses. When I, maybe need a piece of gear that I don't need all the time, I'll go to Talamus Broadcast in Newton, and I'll rent my equipment from Dave Talamus, who owns that company. And that company has been able to grow because the film tax credit's here.
Oh, I think I'm definitely in the minority. I think my view is definitely in the minority, because this is something that the speaker favors. The film tax credit. He actually does favor this. He appreciates this, credit, and so I think that with his leadership on the issue, it'll probably take a different direction than what the governor and what I support.
A really amazing kind of grassroots campaign has started since since our tax incentive has been attacked. And actually, it's really kind of amazing. There's been a website built called SaveMassMAFilmJobs.com. And what it does is it shows the faces of people, all of us just regular people, and talks about who we are, that we're just regular, blue-collar, middle-class citizens of Massachusetts, and where we came from, and that we happen to work on films. My neighbor probably doesn't even know that, on Tuesday I may go work with Mark Ruffalo, and then I come home and I make dinner, and I cook on the grill, and I go to bed. I seem like just a normal guy because I am just a normal guy, but I have this kind of bizarre job that wouldn't exist if the film tax credit didn't exist.